Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show. And I have a really extraordinary soul in the house today, Rebecca Campbell. If you don't know her, you need to know her. She has written her latest book, The Soul Has a Dream, Your Life is It. Brilliant book. But I have read Letters to a Starseed, Rise, Sister Rise, Light is the New Black. I read them all. I love them all. I was just saying to her, we've had a nice chat. I'm holding her hostage today because it's like I have her here. So, but I've got her Oracle deck on my desk that is always on my desk. And for those of you that are on, that can see this on what is that thing we use?
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah. And the other things that will blip it on out there. Work Your Light. For the rest of you, it's Work Your Light Oracle deck, and it is a brilliant deck, and the energy is magnificent. She's magnificent. I want to say welcome. I'm so glad to hang out with you for a while.
Oh, yeah. How
Get to
great is
share
it?
your
We just
light.
connected end of last week and here we are.
I know. I mean, it was
Mm,
just a drop in. And when it
mm,
dropped in, we just discussed it was like a friend that I know that's going to the UK is going to be staying. I mean, it was just like boom, boom,
mm.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Totally
so
aligned.
good.
I love it when that happens, and I love it.
Mm,
And you have such an incredible message that, as we were just discussing before we started taping, that I think the world needs more spiritual, soulful entrepreneurs that are
mm,
illuminating light and truth. I'm going to say
mm,
truth, just more truth
mm,
into what it is we need to surrender and drop into.
mm, I
And
totally agree. Yeah, it's like it's such an interesting time and I think it's an overwhelming time for a lot of people. Particularly those of us who are entrepreneurs. I think anyone who is an entrepreneur is in some
yeah,
capacity like soul led, like connected to some kind of guidance. Because being an entrepreneur is not like a straightforward thing. Like you're listening to
yeah,
some kind of inspiration, some kind of guidance, some kind of idea that popped in, rather than just doing what the society tells you to do.
of course, there's that too.
Mm,
There's that
mm,
too. And then, the ego that could come in and guide you. And
mm,
let's face it, that's always a train wreck.
true,
Well,
true.
so I love the shift. And when I was reading your back history of starting in Australia and the UK and being in advertising and then shifting over, what was that paradigm? What made that shift for you?
Mm.
Did you just wake up one day and say, "This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write books. I'm going to create oracle decks. I'm going to hold spiritual retreats. I'm going to inspire the world." What
No,
shifted?
it was, I, looking back, it was always part of the path. Like I had my first awakening when I was very young. I was a teenager, early
Mhm.
teens, and was on the spiritual path since then.
Yeah.
So, but I never saw it as a career. Like it wasn't like this conscious thing. I didn't even know what a career would be in it.
Mm.
But I trained since then in many different modalities, and it was really just my passion. I loved it. But I also am a creative. I always knew I had a big vision, again, since I was really young, that like I'd come up with ideas and create things that would inspire people to,
Mhm.
and I was definitely very conscious about like being connected to shifting consciousness. And so being part of media in some way was like the way that I thought
Yeah.
I'd do that, because, and so how do you do that? And so I studied communications at uni, and yeah, ended up as a copywriter and then art director and creative director. So my job was to come up with ideas for some of the
Mhm.
biggest brands. It was great training as well because I learned to work with illustrators, which I obviously, I think it's why I find creating Oracle decks so joyful and easy, because I'm really trained at working with artists,
Yeah.
working with like visual aesthetics and all of that.
Mm.
And sound studios, like all these things that now as an entrepreneur
Yeah.
you need to learn. I had a great background in that. So yeah, I nothing's ever wasted. That was definitely meant to be part of my journey. But it was it was around my Saturn return, so that's around 28 to 30,
Mhm.
where I all of a sudden was just like, oh my gosh, this life that I've consciously created, I don't know if it fits me. I don't know if this is my path. And that was super hard to admit, because I was so devoted to my career. I always knew my career was connected to my purpose.
Yeah.
And yeah, that moment of like, actually admitting that was huge.
Yeah.
What allowed me to admit it was really, it was several very difficult experiences I had where I really hit rock bottom. So, two of my very best friends passed away very suddenly,
Mm.
and then my long-term relationship, which at that stage was like 11 years old, which is like that's
Mm,
a long
it's longer than most
relationship for
marriages.
that age. Yeah.
That's a long
Yeah.
connection.
And it was my whole adult life as well. And so that ended, and it was as if that pressure of the grief, of the rock bottom, of the broken heart,
Yeah.
and asking those big questions of like, what is the point of it all?
Right.
I feel like that pressure, um, it just made my ego be like, you know what, I give up. Like, I am not running this show anymore. And then
Right.
that kind of cracking open of the heartbreak as well allowed space for my soul to step forward and something else to kind of come in. And I've seen it, I'm sure you've seen it with your clients as well, how these moments of rock bottom are actually, when it seems like all the lights have been turned off, and in
Yeah.
in many cases they have, we're actually able to see and connect with our inner light so much more easily, because it is so clear and dark and just like,
Right.
so yeah, I think it was the perfect mix of all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that you shared that story. And it's amazing when you said in Saturn. Whenever
Mm.
Saturn's in my chart, I'm like, uh-oh,
Oh my
it's gonna
god.
shatter my life. It's gonna blow it
Have
up in the best possible way. It's gonna be an ending and a beginning.
Totally.
It's gonna
And
be
because
a
you must have, you shared a bit about your age before. Have you been in your second Saturn returns, or you're going into it?
yeah, going into my
Yeah,
second, my
going
first.
into it.
Yeah, well, I think I had one around six. No, I've already had two.
Mm, mm,
One was in yeah, it was big. It was my first
mm,
divorce and
mm,
life shift and real awakening to the world. And
mm,
I didn't not awake enough, but
mm,
enough to be shifted into another
mm,
consciousness. But the second one wasn't until about 6 years ago, and that was a
mm,
shattering of epic proportion
mm,
of mind blowing living, that's why the book, The Truth Within the Lie, living,
mm,
my lie that I thought was the
mm,
truth and understanding that safety lived in here and that as long as safety
mm,
lived out in the world and as long as I gave my power away, I was never going to be able to heal. I was going to
mm.
continue to call in betrayal and I was never going to truly trust. So, the inner child, all the work, like you
Wow.
said, had I not blown up into a million pieces, I would
Mm,
not have found the light and the direction, which
mm,
really just absolutely aligned me to my truth, which I didn't even know the book would be called that. Didn't have any
mm.
direction at the time, with the exception of how am I going to survive this, And
Yeah,
I
right.
think, and I think that for a lot of people listening, they had those moments that how am I going to survive this? They may not even know
Mm,
Saturn is is in their house and it's going to do its job, which means
mm,
you're gonna have to reinvent. And I
mm,
believe that if we can accept that there's endings and there's beginnings, and
mm,
I love the fact that you said there was this heartbreak and this opening and light that came
mm,
in, and man, did it come in for you. Because
mm,
and I think that your curiosity and your creativity and your books and your cards that look at me every day and in
mm,
blaring light and in detail, because I see things in color. I see people in color. And when I
mm,
do readings, it's
mm,
amazing what I see. And this one, we're just the one that people on YouTube can see right now. I'm holding
mm,
up protection and the collective, the circle. And what's so interesting is I look at things that are around me that connect the heart from Sedona,
mm,
the elephants and the elephant circle of
mm,
women that surround, the other women that are in the healing process and
mm,
all the things, every one of your cards, everything I usually have around me support.
mm,
And I think that it is all connected. And I love the way you connect. And I love the cards, the illustrations are beautiful, but what you
mm,
write is so aligned. So do you struggle with that, or is that just you just sit down and is that just in flow when you do those oracle decks?
Mm. Yeah, I've never really had an issue with writer's block. I mean, sometimes um if I'm going through a particular emotion, if I don't, I forget to write through it. So I might
Ah,
like something will stop
okay.
me from work, but yeah, and then I'm like, oh no, no, and then my best writing will come, you know.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, with I think because of my I'm definitely a channel. And
yeah,
when I was younger, before I did my training as a creative, I I would tap into, I'd call like the whispers, you know.
yeah,
Um, but that training of like having to really like create on demand to
yeah.
deadline over and over and over again was brilliant training. Like I remember it was a quite toxic environment, I have to be honest. But like I'd have like one of my first creative directors, you'd as a junior creative, you'd have to come up with probably like 300 headlines for one to be chosen. And it'd just be like,
Wow.
no, 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 something
And there was
there.
no
No,
AI
no,
back
no.
then that you could
Yeah,
like put in one headline
exactly.
and get give me
Oh
300.
my
Yeah,
God. Could you imagine?
yeah,
Completely different. Yeah, God. And
yeah.
so I think that because I am a sensitive, it made me not sensitive around my creative process.
Mm,
So that I think that so I'm a confident creative and writer for that
mm.
reason, I think. Um, where I think as a person,
That
like
comes
some
across
things
too.
I'm
It comes across as very confident, believable, as if I, when I read it, I know it to be true. It's not like I question, like she's wafting her energy around, because I can usually feel that. Her energy
yeah,
is
yeah,
calm and
yeah.
grounded there, and she's kind of exploring there. It's like affirmative. It's done.
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
so
be it, so it
interesting.
is
Thank
so.
you. Yeah.
And yeah,
I
I could pretty,
I
pretty
think
much, yeah.
oh, and I think as I've learned over the years how to create the right conditions to create as well. So I need open space, for example. So like I'll do like the artist morning if I've got a project on, rather than like I like my team won't contact me in that time. I won't allow meetings to go in. And
Mm,
I think it's interesting as a entrepreneur as well, particularly like with what you do. I don't know how you structure your time, but like I found that I was wasting so much time when I was doing like interviews like we're doing today, or recording for YouTube or whatever it
mm-hmm.
is, and just doing it all
Yeah,
over through the week. Whereas now I've got
yeah,
like on one day a week in the afternoon, that's when I do all my recording. So it's like I'm on at that time, and then I
yeah.
can go back into the cave and be creative. I do also do my best writing while I'm in motion, so walking in nature.
Mm,
So most of my, particularly the Oracle decks, they're created while
in
I'm on my
nature.
morning walk.
Of
Yeah,
course
just
they
like
are.
on my phone. Yeah.
Of
So
course they
yeah.
are. You know, I
Mm.
look at, tapping into the frequency that you stay in and really so connected to light. I was looking at live interviews, events. I mean, I get up every morning at 3 a.m. and then there's a spiritual practice. I do a gratitude. It's
Mm.
just routine for me to tap into that energy in the morning. And then I shift it in and I'm like, what a beautiful energy consistently that you teach. You teach,
Mm.
and let's talk about this. You have taught thousands and thousands of people how to live a soul-led life. What does that look like? What does it look like not to live a soul-led life? And if people are listening,
Mm.
how can they drop in to live a soul-led life?
Mm.
And is there like a 1, 2, 3 process that you can say, hey, listen,
Mm.
look at this, put a pin in this, and perhaps explore this?
Mm. Yeah. Oh, such a good question. Thank you. Um, so I have a thing which I call the 3 steps to living a soul-led life, and they're so simple, but it's like don't underestimate the power of it. I know what it
Mm.
is to live a soul-led life and to not live a soul-led life. I think
Yeah.
generally speaking, it's living a soul-led life is being led from the wisdom within. We all
Yeah.
have that. You might call it intuition, you might call it like the connection to God or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So what versus just kind of reacting to the world around you, right? Doing what
Mhm.
everyone else says for you to do, right?
Mhm.
Um, because I do believe that we each of us came in with a plan, and we say yes to it or no to it. Each of us have a purpose, and I'm not talking about like, oh, we have to find this one thing that is our purpose. Our
Yeah.
purpose is to connect in with the intelligence within us, just like
Mhm.
each flower is completely different. The rose
Yeah.
doesn't try and bloom at the same time as the daffodil, doesn't open and close according to who's walking by. It just is, right? And we have that too. So, how to live a soul led life? The simplest way to do it is, first of all, like you got to connect with your soul. So, the first step is connect with your soul. So, that might be through journaling, it might be through meditation, walking in nature, chanting, dancing, drinking your tea really slowly. There's so many different ways, gazing at a flower, looking at the sunrise, sunset, anything like that.
Creating a
Um,
recipe in the kitchen, cooking your
yeah,
garden. Yeah. All
exactly.
the things. Yeah.
Exactly. You're communing. Yeah, you're going in. And yeah, and because the more time you spend with your soul, your inner self, the more easy it is it's just like any relationship that you've got, like with a different person. The more time you spend with them, connect with them, the more you recognize their voice when they speak.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so that's step one, connect with your soul. Step two is listen. So I do what I call a soul inquiry prompt. An example of that would be, what's my soul calling me to do? Or what's my soul yearning for today? Anything like
Mhm.
that. So you're receiving a message, and it can
Mhm.
be so simple, right? So today, my soul is calling me to spend a little bit more time with my daughter. She dressed up as Moana today and went into preschool. And so I want to just put on a Moana song and just be in that playful spirit with
Mm.
her.
I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
it's simple, right?
Yeah.
And then step three is act. And this is the most important one, because so often,
Yeah.
particularly those who are like, oh, I'm connecting with my
Yeah.
intuition. And this applies to creativity as well. I've got all
Yeah.
these ideas. They're pointless unless you act on it. So as you well know, it's about embodying it, but not getting overwhelmed by it. What stops most people from living an intuitive soul-led life is they're waiting for every single step along the way before they reach their goal, right? I just want to make sure it works out. But that's not intuition. Intuition rarely works like that. It's much more intelligent, and
Yeah.
it often doesn't make sense. And so it's like, what's the baby step I can take
Mm.
today to act on that? So I kind of did my baby step before, where I was like, oh, what's my soul calling me to do? It was like spend time with my daughter.
Yeah.
What's the baby step? Put on the Moana song. It's so simple. I will definitely do
Mm.
that, because it'll take what, 3 minutes if the whole song goes
Right.
on. It's not like, workout,
Yeah.
reparenting, and therapy
Yeah.
sessions. Like it's
Yeah,
like
it's
it's
like, yeah,
simple.
people, but they tend to bury with all of
Yeah.
it, and then they tend to do nothing. And so I
Yeah.
love the fact you're staying consistent with your commitment to doing something
Mm,
simple. And
mm,
I am
mm,
so aligned with that because with
mm,
this, my brain, this ADHD, and I
mm.
looked at my day to day and I'm like, are you kidding me? Did I do that? Did I schedule this day? Don't I have someone to, and she goes, you plugged it in. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
did. And it's like, you did. And I'm like, okay. And so I break it down one at a time. Instead of looking at
Yeah.
the whole day, I'm like, one at a time, connect with one energy at a time
Yeah.
and flow through this day. And by the end of the day, it'll be so kind of soulfold. And, it'll be full
Mm,
of different energies and blendings, and I'll stay connected without being in this futuristic self of how is the outcome
mm,
going to be and how am I going to do it, and pulling it back in. And I always say, I used to have t-shirts made, keep it simple. I co-founded a
mm.
cauliflower pizza crust, one of the first ones ever,
Mm,
yeah,
really
cauliflower foods, and
amazing.
the first marketing campaign. And I was no marketer, no campaign, but we didn't have the budget for that. And I'm
Wow.
like, I did the baking, all my arm is full of those scars from those big ovens, but it was keep it simple. And I still, whenever
Yeah.
I want to overcomplicate, or when people want to overcomplicate, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. The ego really loves to overcomplicate. The soul just wants simplicity. It wants expansion. It just wants,
Yeah.
I say our soul is on a mission, and our job is to stay aligned with that. And it is not our job to and what would you think about this? I often say it's not our job to lean into the answers. In fact, it's none of our business what the outcome is. Because I
Yeah.
think that God, the universe, wherever anyone connects to, it's so much bigger than we can, our high low of what we can tap into. What would you say about
Mm,
that of people that are so attached to what
mm,
that outcome may be? I look at your outcome
mm,
and the big body of work you've created, the thousands upon thousands of lives you've
mm,
connected with, your success with just being soul led and staying in your
mm,
purpose. How do you stay out of the connection and expectations of the outcome?
mm. That's such a good question. Oh my gosh. Um, I think as an entrepreneur, it's really challenging. I'm not gonna lie. I think what I'm constantly inviting myself to do is to stay in the devotion, because I
Mm,
think that, like, when the moment I kind of go, oh, this person's doing this, or this is where the industry's going, and da 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 da, and it is important to do that in a way, but, like, so for example, there was a mastermind I went to, right? And we did it over 3 years, right? It's the same group of people, and half of the people in the room were definitely like they were literally like, it's like, my boss is God, essentially. So they were like full
mm,
devotional people. But
yeah.
every time we'd go to these masterminds, it'd be amazing because we got inspired, and there were so many incredible connections that we had.
Yeah.
But we all confessed that we left feeling crap because we were just like, like every single person in this room is doing things better than me. And that was true for every single person. But like, and then you just like get overwhelmed by all these things that you need to do, and you're like, why am I even doing this you
I
know
love that you illuminated that because I think that the audience is listening right now, when I went to your page and they're going to go to your page and they're going to follow
mm,
you and they're going to say, "Oh, the first 1,000 people that get an extra to Oracle," that they're like, "I can't even get 10 people." There's so much
mm,
competition out there. There's so much pressure
yeah,
and you're in this bigger field of attraction. How do you do
mm,
that when you left feeling like comparison and overwhelmed and
mm.
it's a heavy energy.
Yeah. And I think it's like you got to come back to, like, why do you do what you do?
Mhm.
And and make sure that you're doing it because that's what you want to do, not like to get some approval from someone, because you're never going to get to where you want to get to if that's the reason why you're doing it. And
Right.
so, and then it's kind of like you keep showing up, but like stay in the devotion, stay in the love of it. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you don't
What does that mean?
do
Let's slow
things that
down
you
around
don't
that. Stay
like.
in that for the people that are hearing, stay in the devotion. What can we break that down a little bit more and say,
Mm.
what does that look like to stay in the devotion? Stay in my
Okay, so
practices. Yeah, let's.
so for me, as a soul-led creative, it is making sure that I'm prioritizing my relationship to my soul or spirit or creator or nature or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, Recognizing that my most precious resource is my connection and
Mm.
my ability to create. So what that means, what do I need to create? I need space. I need to, like, genuinely live my life with the sacred at the center. So,
Mm.
like, for example,
Yeah, of
I've got these apple trees in my yard, right? We
course
bought
you
this
do.
place, and it's this like wild little patch. It's like a little, it's kind of like a field. It's not that big though. And I've started to create an altar outside to the goddess, and I'm there, and no one sees that altar. I mean, I think I've taken a couple of photos, but I'm not doing the altar for a photo. I'm doing it
You.
because that's what I want to do. And then I happened to take a photo, and that photo went really well on social media. It was when my mystery school was open for enrollment, and it became like the thing, and it was like me and my friends there. But that, I
Yeah.
didn't set that up for the photo. I was living it.
Mm.
And then my team was like, "Oh my
Right.
gosh, that photo did so
It's so
well. That's
organic
really
and so
good." But it's
unexpected.
because I was living it.
Yeah.
And that's how my purpose began as well. And so,
Mm.
in this world of social media and content and, or there's always more to do or whatever, we got to keep staying like with the potency of why we're doing what we're doing,
I love
you
that, the
know?
potency of
Like
why we're
I
doing
can
what we're doing, staying in our
I
that truth.
that's it. And like for example, if people are like watching you do a podcast, right? And it's like, oh, is a great way to blah 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 blah. Do you love doing a podcast? I'm not saying it to you, but it's like to
Yeah.
someone listening, don't just do a podcast because it's the thing to
Yeah.
do. Be like,
Exactly. Yeah.
is sharing my voice in this way, is it really
Yeah.
aligned to me? Is this effortless? Is this whatever? And of course you're going to have to do things like work out the cameras, work out the lights, and that might not be
Yeah.
effortless for you. But if like speaking to people and
Yeah.
transmitting from your voice, if that is your calling, do it,
Yeah.
tend to it. Yeah, that's
Right.
kind of what I mean. Yeah.
I love that assessment. And I love that you said that because there's so many entrepreneurs that are simulating and looking at that blueprint and they want me to tell them the blueprint that I use, but I thought my journey
Mm,
isn't your journey. You
mm,
know, when my life blew up, pieces came back together that I felt led to do. I had intended in the business plan doing a podcast show. It's interesting you brought that up, 7 years prior to doing it, but it didn't
wow.
align. It didn't speak with me. They kept
Mm,
building, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have anything to say. And they're like, oh, you're just frightened to get in front of the camera. Nope. I would have much rather a decade ago get in front of the camera than now. But
mm,
it's if we're looking at like a better moment, the older we get, the less we probably want to be in front of the camera. But I've actually surrendered that too because
mm,
I think the wisdom and where I'm at, I think, is ownership of now's the time. And it's crazy
mm.
what's happened this last week. We talked a little about it, the release and walking the Camino and the shift
Yeah.
and the book going out imperfectly. Because I write upside down and backwards, I didn't write my book. We outlined it and I just channeled the book. And then it was 400 pages. And I'm like, wow, where did all that come from? And I mean, things from 15th century, it was crazy where it came from. I'm like, I've never read Latin. I don't know where that came. So
Wow.
we cut 400 pages back and it was a little bit choppy with the first edition that came out. And I'm like, and we considered pulling the launch and I'm like, nope, perfectly imperfect. And
Yeah.
it hit bestseller before they even did their launch and was
Wow.
trending in 6 categories. And I'm like, why is it trending in relationships and marriage? Why is it trending in all this? But you know what? I went with the energy of this feels
Mm,
aligned and let's just do perfectly imperfect because perfection, perfection paralysis, I think hobbles us. I think of horses a
mm,
lot hobbling, just like when you said the apple, the wild, I'm thinking of Johnny Appleseed planting the spiritual seeds everywhere, just like planting those
mm,
trees. I think about a horse and I get visuals, downloads continually. And I think of a horse being hobbled that can't run, can't move, that is limited in,
mm.
that movement. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree. It sounds like you're someone who like properly like knows the path and knows how to act on it. I
It
totally
isn't always
agree.
popular. It isn't always,
No, no, it's very often not. I
yeah,
mean, well, I think often that path becomes popular, but like people want to do it. It's yeah, like because as
yeah,
intuitives, as I mean, leaders, as visionaries, we see it before um
yeah,
the masses. So yeah,
yeah.
it takes courage. Yeah. Yeah. But I
Well,
really appreciate what you shared about the yeah, because I think often we can get advice from people that and this comes down to like you got to trust your soul, you got to trust your own intuition and the
yeah,
resonance that comes right when it's
right.
like a yes versus yeah, there might be like with you with the podcast, is it because you're afraid to share your voice? I mean, I'm not saying this is the case for
Yeah.
you, but like, yeah, maybe there's a bit of that, but really, it's not right now. The
Yeah.
timing's not right.
Yeah,
So,
looking back
yeah.
on that, I could say, "Oh, you're frightened," and I probably built a story around it,
Mm,
but the fact was it wasn't aligned, it wasn't the time, there wasn't the wisdom, there wasn't the shattering, there wasn't the evolution, there
mm,
wasn't the deeper connection that I probably needed to share versus,
Mm,
I didn't want to put a voice in a podcast out, and it's actually, I'm stripping it back, and it's amazing just within a week a shift
mm,
I've made energetically of where it's going and where
mm,
I often wonder, how did it just hit this year in the top 10%? What did I do that when I felt kind of messy? Like I
mm,
wasn't as focused as I needed to do, even though I called in whom I felt connected to. And I'm always letting my team know I want to I want to ask. I want to be the person that connects
mm,
energetically and calls that person in
mm.
because that's my connection with them, not someone
Yeah.
that's, and now it's
And I think
shifting
that's
again.
such a good point because, yeah, like it's as entrepreneurs, we can we can very easily
Mm.
lose our connection, like the finger on the pulse, right? Like I
Yeah.
remember one of my mentors, she, in the traditional sense, like just the classic entrepreneur model where it's like,
Right.
you go from one-to-one work and then you move on and then you da, 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 da.
Mhm.
She still does one-to-ones,
So do
and
I, and I refuse to
she's
give it up.
yeah, and that's the thing, she's like, I will
Yeah.
not give it up, and it's
Nope, not
because
giving it up.
otherwise I've lost my connection.
Well, and
And
when you get
that's
your soul, what's so funny is you just bring this up, and I just had a reading of a full chart reading from a brilliant woman named Tamar, brilliant, and she was talking about Saturn, and I'm like, yes,
mm,
blow up, blow. But she was talking, I'm like, where are all those numbers in that right there? She was, that's your one-on-one connection, your God, your soul connection,
mm,
and your one-on-one with people, where all your power is. And I thought
mm,
it gave me permission instead of being in these $1 million masterminds and them saying,
mm,
you're never going to make, well, guess what I did on the one-on-ones? I did it anyway by
mm,
being authentic and true, but I was resistant and I still question myself, even at this level, saying, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid? Are
mm.
you afraid to hold bigger space? I do hold bigger spaces and I speak, but it was about that connection. I just didn't
Mm,
want, it wasn't playing small. And then she read it and said, no, this is who you are. This is what keeps your
mm,
fire burning. And I'm like, I love that
mm.
validation. And what,
It's so
yeah,
true. And like I was talking to my friend Kyle Gray the other day, and we were talking about
got
there's like
another
a
sign. That's
oh, you know him?
crazy.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
yes. So, we were talking about there's like a Mind Body Spirit Festival, right? And it's
Yeah.
like we're kind of like, oh, should we? We're talking about how we really like doing those shows. Like it's sometimes you don't even get paid, or it's
Yeah.
like it's like
But you feel
not
called to
your
do it.
normal rate. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's he was saying that he loves doing it because he always uses it as an opportunity to test out new material. Now, you're not going to test
Mm.
out new material when you're like getting paid a lot, like you want to deliver exactly what they want. So it's like just
Yeah.
knowing. And same thing for me with retreats. I love doing them because we go so deep.
Yeah.
And when I am, because my work has because I am a channel, it is often it's when I'm with groups of people that like we're co-creating the space. It's never the
Yeah.
same. And I receive so much information that way.
Mm.
So yeah,
How do
yeah.
you stay out of, once again, that connection of every time it's different, you're so led
Mm,
by spirit and your soul, and you know that it's the collective that's going to change the energy. I mean, how could it be the
mm,
same? Because all these different energies you're calling in
yeah.
are going to shift. How can you stay out of the deliverance of, this is what I expect out of this retreat, or am I letting
Mm.
people down? I'm always
Oh
wondering
yeah.
about the holding that space.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, so I will always I'm Virgo sun, Scorpio rising. So I need oh you too.
Well, I'm Libra, Scorpio, rising, Virgo, Sun. No, middle one, Sun, Scorpio, Virgo, rising. Yes. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I,
Okay,
I
we're
flipped
very
it. Yeah.
similar. And I've got like 5 planets in Libra too. So very similar. So I need like a really grounded plan. So I always start, whether it's a sacred circle. So in my membership, I do a sacred circle every single month. We
Mm.
begin where I have my a community manager. She reads out an opening dedication, which
Mm.
opens the space. And that rhythm, that ritual really provides grounding. It invites everyone to step in, and there's a circle within a circle then, right?
Right.
And so then I begin, and I always begin in the same way as well. Again, it adds this rhythm. And so, and I know the intention of what we're
Mm.
doing, but I find having these like containers within containers, and like the rhythm and the groundedness of
Mm.
it allows me to get out of my head. I'll always have like sections that I'm going through. So I'm never just kind of go and let's dive in and see where we end up, you know? And so I do find that, yeah, it's having
Yeah.
those containers, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, and now it can come in, but I
Mm.
know when it ends as well. So it is this kind of like very practical
Yeah.
container. Yeah, everything's contained. And then but
Yeah.
I find, and I'm sure you find this too with your work, the more held the space and defined the container, the deeper everyone goes because it's
Wow.
clear that everyone's
Yeah.
held. Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think is the ideal person that you're calling in right now in the world we wake up in today, 2025? Who needs Rebecca Campbell in their life? Who's showing up? Who needs to show up? And I think that's
Mm,
important. I think it's important to say,
mm,
hey, this is available, and this is
mm,
who I need to call in, because
mm,
I think if we have something that we know can help evolve the
mm,
collective,
mm,
it is our
mm,
job to put it out there and say,
mm.
listen, I think I can help here. I think,
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Well, my work meets you where you are. It is the intention of it is to support you to connect in with your soul, with the intelligence within you, so you can
mm,
unlock your path. And it that relates to the collective awakening and healing in the sense that each and every one of us has, I believe, came in to this life, to this body, to our ancestry, with a thread, right? It's a thread that if we
mm,
follow it, it will contribute to the healing and awakening of humanity. And so, yeah, my work has always been, I've always created it. It has transmission in it, so it meets you where you are.
yeah,
So, like the decks, for example, it's like it'll meet a beginner, and it'll meet someone at a different level as well.
yeah,
And even just like with my work in the sanctuary, for example, and my mystery school and my retreats and workshops, it's like, um, because it is about you communing in and receiving information and guidance, you can come and do it over and over again, and you'll get the information that you need in that moment, because your soul is always calling you. It always
mm,
has helpful information for you. With my latest book, Your Soul Had a Dream, Your Life Is It, I'm finding that there is a particular type of person who really came into their ancestral line to be the cycle breaker, to be the healer. And so I'm finding that there is this like particular body of work that's coming through around that as
I'm
well.
going to tell
Yeah.
you, when I read the title, I
Mm-hmm.
had a visceral, an emotional response. I cried. I had to
Whoa.
literally, it just, something happened. And
Mm,
I just said, I have to read that book. It's actually,
mm,
I've ordered, it's coming hopefully before I
mm,
leave. I
mm,
decided one book. I didn't know what book I would be taking with me on this
mm.
pilgrimage on the Camino, but this is the book. I
Oh,
read the title. It was almost as if I was like in a portal of energy, and it was,
mm. Well,
I
you can
was so
listen to it
emotional.
if it doesn't arrive in time, because
Yeah.
that
Oh, I
that can
love
be
that.
easier when you walk.
Oh, that's it. I'm not one to listen to a lot, but that would be a great idea,
Yeah.
because I don't know how much downtime at night, and I'll be so tired
Yeah.
from
Yeah. And
walking.
then it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know you don't have to carry your bags necessarily yourself, and then you don't have
Yeah.
to carry a book.
Yeah. But carry a book. Exactly. I know. I didn't even think about it, but that's just my Libra brain of
Mhm.
never really
Mm.
of just thinking I'm going to do it this way. I could be very linear sometimes
Yeah, I know
and
what you
think,
mean.
oh, wait a minute. Yes, I can listen to that and love that. I love that. You know, I look at all the things I wrote down. The inner temple, your new oracle deck. It's glowing right now. I mean, it literally has energy vibrating off of it. I looked at that and I think everything you've created, even with what you just said, when I look at the deck that I have, the rose deck, the work your light deck tends to stay on my desk a lot. And I'm
Mm.
really particular about the decks that stay on my desk. No one touches them.
Mm.
I'm really particular about, but I could pull that card for different people that I feel called to. It's never like I'm planning it. It's like, boom, I'm
Mm.
just doing it. And it speaks differently. I read differently from the same card, different soul, different message, different guidance. And
Mm.
what do you say about that? Is that just divine guidance? Is that the way you planned it? Or is there a specific message you want from your body of work, even the cards?
Mm. I mean, each of the cards definitely has like a transmission in it.
Yeah.
Um some of them are like, I don't know if you can see, if anyone's watching as well, just behind me I've got this
Yeah.
one particular card. It's from the Starseed Oracle. It's the Fall
Yes.
Into My Arms card. And oh, that's actually the first chapter of Your Soul Had a Dream, is Fall Into My Arms.
Mm,
And in that chapter, and that image that is in that card of that oracle, is, it's literally a depiction of a mystical experience I had, and that where I received a full-on transmission. And that mystical experience, literally I was integrating for 7 years. It was like completely life-changing, and the book begins like that, and it has that energy. But yeah, that one
mm.
card holds the energy of that whole experience.
Wow.
So yeah, so it definitely, yeah. But then I
Yeah.
think as well, why I like oracle cards is that it's a physical, um, it's a physical thing that you can do to connect in with the
Yeah.
unseen. So it is, you're
Right.
bringing it into the 3D. Yeah.
I like that, the 3D. I love that. If we had to leave people, I had so many questions and I have so many more questions, but if I had to look at the inspiration behind, I'll just go through a few of them.
Mm,
The inspiration behind the Inner Temple Mystery School. What was the
mm,
inspiration behind that? How can people connect with that? Whom would be an ideal person to say, hey, this is, if they don't
mm,
feel that inner wisdom yet or connection?
mm. So for the Inner Temple Mystery School, it's a school for mystics.
Hmm.
And a mystic is someone who is daring enough to know that they can go direct to the sacred. I created it after going through a big journey myself over probably about 10 years, where I had this deep yearning for ancient wisdom
Yeah.
beyond what had been taught to
Yeah.
me, the ancient wisdom that had not been passed down to me, and particularly through connecting with the sacred of the earth, of nature. So yeah, so that mystery school is really for anyone who yearns to connect more deeply with ancient wisdom and the sacred. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What has transformed you the most through all your experiences? Is there one moment where you're like, this moment, I remember, I can smell
Mm,
the air, all the things. This was like a shift
mm.
in time. Is there anything, the
I
one
would say
transformation?
it's that moment in that I begin in Your Soul Had a Dream, that mystical experience. I was in my kirtan teacher training,
Mm.
and yeah, it I stepped into the middle of the circle, and I knew everything was going to change. Yeah, it was that moment. Mm.
Well, I love the fact I looked at that and felt that moment. I felt it all. It was like it's like
Mm.
flying through a wormhole of energy. And I'm like, is
It's
this my
amazing. You can
connection or
feel
her
it.
connection? Or but
Mm.
man, it felt so powerful, like my chest was hit, like my heart just went
Mm.
boom. And I'm like, I have to have
Mm.
this immediately. I love it when I
Mm.
get messages like that because not everything is so
Mm.
clear. It doesn't always
Yes,
come in
isn't it
that clear.
amazing?
It's
It's
like,
so good when that comes in. And I
yeah.
think, sometimes I get frustrated with this. I think this has been the biggest learning for me when it comes to intuition, is that it's like, when we're asking for guidance and we don't receive it. Sometimes it means, wait, it's not yet time. And
Yeah.
then, the moment it comes, just like an idea, it's like, it comes in almost fully formed. And you're like, yes, it's here. Thank
Yeah.
God I waited. Thank God I didn't just like busy myself
Yeah. Thank
doing
God I
stuff.
waited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Mm,
God. Yeah. I love that, holding space and time for what's to come. I think that can be the most difficult thing.
mm,
Not the waiting game, but to hold space for the not knowing.
mm, mm,
Not yet. Not yet. I don't know
mm,
yet what,
mm,
and leaving that open to what is available to us, which I think could be so much bigger. The ancient wisdom,
mm,
all the things. I think if we try to control and we resist and all the things, the second guessing,
mm.
if I look at my life in particular, I'm like, oh, what a chaotic mess. But that chaotic mess led me to where I am now, which is such a beautiful
Yeah.
unfolding um, and perhaps divine timing if I'm looking
Mm,
at it as the way it needed to happen. If it's all
mm,
soul guided, then nothing that happened. And if the universe isn't random, and which we can't pick and choose, well, that was random, well, that's not random, that's guided, well, that's
mm,
not guided. If I could keep the ego out of judging any of my experiences, which is very difficult when you put a book out and it's raw and your stories are out there, you're like, well, let me pull that back. And because we're judged, I think we're the harshest judges of ourself.
mm. Yeah,
Then the
totally.
world just mirrors that. What would you say to the people that are listening right now? What is one message you can leave them with that they can say, mm-hmm, I'm going to take that one to the bank. I'm holding that one close. I'm
Mm,
going to write that one down.
mm.
I know, no
I'd
pressure.
say I'd say just spend a little bit of time with your soul each day. I'm a busy mom. I got young kids. I do not do my morning practice like I used to. I
Yeah.
do it in a dip later in the day. So it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be 5 minutes, but just trust that inner voice that you have within it. Tend to that relationship because it's like a superpower once you know how to tap into it.
I love that. I love that. And what I always ask this question, but what feels like love in your life right now? What just illuminates love in
Mm.
your life right now?
I think my relationship with my daughter, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
she's at such a sweet age, and yeah, yeah,
And
it's
is she
really
five?
lighting me up. No, no, she's two, she's
She's two.
almost
She's the two.
three, and my son too. But yeah, my daughter is yeah, she's just especially cute right now, very
Oh.
huggy, and yeah.
Well, having three daughters, I remember back at two, and I remember I think my daughter's first words were "mommy" and "me," and
Oh,
I know she looked up, and I asked her if she wanted to go somewhere, and she looked up and grabbed my hand, and she said "mommy" and "me," and I think she was close to, and
mm.
I'm like, it's like in everything I sent her. Even I just sent her some chimes from Uganda that I loved, and bells, and she goes, I love those, and I shipped those to her birthday, and I had it all engraved on there, "mommy and me." Everything's going to be mommy and me, and dated,
Oh,
and that little did I know that now she's going to be a mother, and
oh.
I know it's just. It's such a beautiful cycle. It's such a beautiful cycle. Okay,
Mm,
let's see. What have I not asked you? There's so much here I didn't look down about balancing a mystic, an artist, a teacher, an entrepreneur, but I think you answered those questions. Is there
mm,
anything else you would like to leave the listeners with? I definitely want to know what's coming up. How can they find you? I know you have a pre-order
mm.
of your Oracle deck.
Oh yeah, yeah. My latest deck,
Yeah.
the Inner Temple Oracle, which is
Yes.
super cool. It's got this like
Yeah.
the box turns into like an Oracle card display frame. Yeah, it's awesome this deck. So yeah, the Inner Temple Oracle, that's available for pre-order. It's out in September. It's my favorite deck yet for sure. So yeah, there's that, and then my book, Your Soul Had a Dream, Your Life Is It, is available. And I also teach in my spiritual membership, the Sanctuary. So yeah, it's got like a whole library of spiritual practices, rituals, and we do sacred circles and ceremonies together. So yeah, come join
Yeah.
me in any of those places. Yeah.
Any retreats coming up?
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to be doing something in Glastonbury for solstice in December. And then I'm going to be
Ooh.
announcing soon that I've got like about three different events and retreats in the States in 2026. So I think my mailing list is the place to go, and I'll drop them. Yeah. I've got one in London as well in Feb. So yeah.
I love that. What we probably didn't share with you is most of my clients when are in the UK. I know it's crazy.
Ah,
Here I am in California,
amazing.
but yeah, my UK connection
Ah,
is
well,
huge.
yeah,
So
come to the event
yeah,
in Feb in
I know.
London. We're about to announce it. Yeah.
Oh, and I love the December one. I keep thinking, well, what's so crazy is
Mm.
I just told someone, I said, I feel really guided to be in the UK in December. And I said, I have no idea why that's
Mm.
dropping in, but I can't shake it. And I'm like, I
Whoa.
know. And then you just said,
That's
I'm doing
cool.
it. Yeah,
Well,
I know.
December 21st. We've not released the tickets yet, but yeah, December 21st it'll be.
Rebecca Campbell, you are an amazing light.
Oh, I
I've
so
just
appreciate us being
loved
together.
spending this time with you. Thank you for sharing
Mm,
your wisdom, the expansion, your tips, how simple it is, your practices. I love your ancient connection, how far back you chose to go, and that you share
mm,
it. You
mm,
really don't hide any of your connection of where you pull from, where a lot of
mm,
times people won't share it. It's like, well, that's
mm,
just a little bit too, and we used this word earlier, too woo woo, which I really dislike that
mm,
word. I like that word like
mm,
band, take that.
mm,
But that these ancient connections are here and they're real, and you're sharing them,
mm,
and you're giving women and people permission to go
mm,
back and to honor. And I love that
mm.
process. You know, I
Thank you
adore
so
you,
much.
adore
I'm
the
really
stories you
grateful.
shared.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm gonna visualize
beautiful.
you dancing and listening to music with your daughter today. I
Yeah.
think honoring that was beautiful, and we'll have all of Rebecca's links, connections for everyone. And I don't think there's anything. Of course, I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna say, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to ask this," because I always forget. Anyone that watches the show knows I forget to look down because I was just so. I mean, look at her light. If you're
It's so
looking at YouTube,
great.
her light is radiating, and it's just. I'm just like I went with her energy. But
We've had a great convo.
it was a great conversation. My heart is
Thank
completely, my soul is
you.
completely like,
Mm,
ah, I'm breathing
so
just a little bit
good.
deeper, dropped in a little bit
Mm,
deeper. Thank you. Thank you
mm,
for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for showing
my
up for the world.
pleasure.
Grateful for you.